drawing the egg still life. We will be doing it on self-toned paper, and I'm going to show on little area here how to proceed with that. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the egg's anatomy and proportions. A perfect object has a little bit sharper one end, duller back, nose and tail. Is perfectly symmetrical, always draw a central line, and you can do a couple of perpendiculars, measure. If they are the same, your egg will be balanced, symmetrical. It stands on one little spot here. So it's perfect, rigid, stiff shell, and it cannot be depicted like it were some kind of a potato or something with a wavy contour. If you are working on the egg from the back, it will look circular, but probably the shadow will show that there is a little protrusion here. And of course, the same goes for the front of the egg, so to speak. The shadow will be a little bit more sharp, and it will show the viewer that it's just a different position as egg viewed from here. I'm going to start shading, and I will erase this little area for now. And for shading, you need to remember that there is nothing more beautiful than the cross-hatching. The stroke, the mark on the paper that pencil is producing looks like that, and I'm going to do a great exaggeration. Swing from the air, thin, lands on the paper and releases. So the ends are thinner, the middle is darker. And that is what reminds you of the line value principle, and also it lets you blend your cross-hatching, your tonal value, your shading almost seamlessly. And that is how it is done. Cross-hatch. Sorry, sound effects. And cross-hatch. You turn gently. It's not good to do it under the 90 degrees angle right away. And what happens is that in the middle, where my pencil marks are landing with greatest force, the tonal value grows, becomes darker, while the ends are kind of thin, feathered out, and you can blend and stitch them together endlessly. I'm going to continue and prepare an area for you to work with the wipeout method. So imagine that entire paper, about like that, is covered with the continuous gray tone. It won't be perfect, but try to cast your strokes as close to each other as possible. Turn, blend, and then I'm working with a pencil that is F. It's kind of medium range. It's not in every pencil kit, but it's rather hard. And then I can put it on the side, and you can also blend gently without any other tools or materials. We don't do this. This would be bad. It would spoil the quality of your shading. By the end of this exercise, when you will be producing the self-toned paper, you will be a perfect shader. It's practice, and that is what makes it perfect, of course. So after that, I will create a composition out of about 5 eggs spread out throughout the entire paper. And you can create a little window here and see, okay, it might be one here, second here, this, and that. And then the shadows, or something like that. Many possibilities. Make them big, make them bold. And then we will be just following the form principle. So I am going to draw one egg, and that's all you need to do. Draw over one nice, symmetrical, beautiful egg. Check it the way that I described at the beginning. And include the shadow. I'm drawing through, and that is the line that I can see, and that's all that I'm interested in. So it's like an abstraction out of basic shapes. So the egg, as you understand, is like that. And the shadow it casts also is an uninterrupted shape. The light comes from there, hits here, the highlight will be there, and then of course the shadow is a little bit long and also symmetrical, flat, shows very well where is the source of light. So, and now what we're going to do is to make a little bit more clear the outline on the shadow area. And also I'm looking at the position of the shadow on the egg, and it goes like that. So this is a guideline. I don't want any lines. It will be value meets value, just nice shading. But I want this certainty. I'm drawing the shape of the shadow. After that, take an eraser and erase the light. Carefully. Erase it. It will be add and subtract method. We will do it several times. Concentrate on one egg first, and then switch to the second. It will be getting better and better and better. And now we have to do the cast shadow, make it much darker. I'm working with 3B pencil, and I'm just trying to gently fill this area in, observing the shape that I found first. Casting the strokes close to each other, making them short and sort of gliding over to create the basic contrast. Usually, at the foot of any object, the cast shadow is the darkest. That's where light does not penetrate at all. So we can make this area as dark as possible for now. And then in the rest of the shadow, there might be a little bit of light that is getting there from the surrounding areas, and it's always a reflected light. And now I'm going to grab my 2H pencil and start working on the core shadow. And I'm working in the cross contour manner. That is the shape of the egg. Imagine it's sliced on the slicer for sandwiches, right? So it's rounded, circular, like that. And if you will be shading with this in mind, you will be working for the 3D effect, not against it. Don't go this way. Counterproductive. And you can, with this pencil, work quite freely because it's very hard. That's how to use pencils to greatest effect. You select the tool. At this point, I don't know if you can see, probably it's not depicted on the video, but right here is the highlight, the lightest portion of the egg. This is the area that has shortest distance to the source of light. And in order to make it look light and bright, I need to make the area of the light and middle tone surrounding it a little darker. So now I'm working on the light part of the egg, making it slightly darker. In this case, you can go over, and of course it won't do any harm to the outline because it blends nicely with the background. Same here. We have ultimate white here in the tonal value of our paper. There is nothing lighter. So we need to make it work. If you want to make something lighter, make the surroundings darker. And that is how you can now stitch together the middle tone and the core shadow and work and work and work. And then we have also already a reflected light produced here. I'm going to switch to the pencil, which is F, or you can get something like HB and make it a little bit darker. The form turns from the light this way too, and that's how I'm showing that it's a rounded object. It's just observing and knowing what is happening on real form. However, I think that the background behind the egg could be a little bit darker. And you can darken it a little bit. And because there is a lot of graphite already behind the egg on the top here, you can just gently blend and return a few times. The softer the strokes and the more repetitive they are, the more seamless and smooth your shading will be. Again, you can always put your pencil, if it is sharp and the graphite is long, on the side and blend like that. You can turn your drawing upside down to make it more comfortable. And if there is a lot of tonal value already everywhere, here is a nice neat trick. You can just put it here, put your hand here so you won't be smudging, and keep working on the core shadow, because that's what I'm going to do now. Again, trying to work across the form of the egg, cross-sectioning. And a little bit darker reflected light, so it will sit in the shadow area altogether. Also, a good trick is to slightly blend the outline edge of the egg with a shadow area, cast shadow. Helps to create this effect of the roundness. And as many times as needed, you can go over. See, I'm just toning down a little bit the entire light area, but also trying to work in cross-sectioning, like that, cross contour, and if you want a little bit greater contrast, just use softer pencil. I have 3B handy. It can be 2B or B. And if you use it gently, you can immediately add a lot of dramatic effect to this coarse shadow area. And then at the very end, look again, aim, restore your highlight, and this will become the brightest little spot on the egg. This we can consider almost done. Proceed, work on the rest of them. If needed, you can always return to the first and the second and look at them as a whole in order to create a nice, effective, spectacular, seamlessly shaded still life where lines will be buried, melted into the continuous tone, and this is called value meets value. Dark, light, no line. So all that is non-existent anymore. Big step from line value and working with lines primarily. This should be a very good training for you to be able to shade effectively.